The year is 1998. As you park your Toyota Camry at your local Marcus Theater to catch the hot new flick, The Parent Trap, your boy Eric SMS texts you that your front tire is way over the yellow line. And unknown to both of your little noggins at the time, America was losing theirs over a different Eric and yellow line. Because on that night of September 27th, 1998, ESPN and Sports Vision unveiled for the very first time ever,
it's ESPN's 1st and 10. The gold-colored line you'll see appears to be painted on the field, but it's really being electronically generated by us.
What seems like today the most basic aspect when watching an NFL game is borderline some Chris Angel magic to be able to pull off. And ever since that Sunday night, the way we watch sports has changed forever. While Sports Vision's yellow line is largely credited for being the biggest innovation in sports broadcasting, you'd have to go back to 1939 to see one of the first breakthroughs in sports media. What may seem like something you would have fell asleep to in social studies class your freshman year actually debuted technology networks still use for like every sport. Probably got you stumped, huh? Sitting there wondering, what possible tech... I can't. Slow motion. Slow motion was first introduced in a German boxing match in 1939. And I'm no history buff, but gonna go out on a limb here and say that was probably the only good thing to come out of Germany in 1939. Could you imagine how different sports would be without slow motion? Like, yeah, the 2014 OBJ catch or the infamous 2016 LeBron block still probably would have had Chris and Mike just busting into the mic, even without the benefit of a slow-mo replay. But dude, that. When used right, slow motion is practically made for sports. Not even on just an audience engagement level. It's basically become a necessity for like every televised professional sport. If ESPN ever cut away to the replay center in Secaucus and I saw Kane Fitzgerald watching a challenge play in real speed, and that's what makes slow motion so interesting. While being a necessity for the sports world, you go down the hall to the Film Bro multiverse and it's hated there. What I think a Pulp Fiction fan and a Chiefs fan share in common though is the appreciation for the Skycam. It was created in the 1980s by Garrett Brown. Not only did he win an Emmy for the Skycam, before that, he won multiple awards for the creation of the Steadicam, which, if you don't know, the Steadicam is used for like every professional music video, TV show, movie. If they're shooting with the camera that's the same price as a Chevy Malibu, chances are it's being stabilized by the Steadicam. So naturally, he had to go crazy with the sequel. And one day, in 1981, Garrett said, "F it, we ball." Strung up some sewing thread in his kitchen with a bolt attached in the middle to simulate a camera floating in the sky. And that smacked. And just 3 years later, the Skycam had its debut in 1984 in an NFL preseason game between the Chargers and 49ers. But for nearly 20 years, it saw little to no NFL action until Sunday Night Football in 2002 picked it back up. What's insane though is the Skycam's official Super Bowl debut wasn't until 2017. I think there's two main reasons for this: wires and fog. For one, there's been maybe a handful of times where the Skycam itself has caused safety concerns. The most notable incident probably being the 2011 Insight Bowl game. With a little over 2 minutes left in the fourth, Marvin McNutt,
mission failed. We'll get them next time,
just barely dodges the free-falling Skycam, instead just getting a bit tangled up in the wires. On the other hand, intense, blinding fog in a Week 7, 2017 Sunday night football matchup had NFL fans going feral over the new Madden camera angle. About midway through the third, the fog at Gillette got so bad, NBC had to switch to nearly all footage being shown through the Skycam's POV. And again, NFL fans ate up every second after they made the switch. Even today, you can go and look at that game's highlights, and a good chunk of the top comments are praising NBC's production crew, which that debut Super Bowl ended up being the same Patriots-Falcons matchup we got in that fall game. I just feel like that's so weird. I had to at least mention it. You know what else is weird? That little graphic at the bottom of your screen when you're watching an NBA game that shows the score, time, shot clock. That wasn't a thing until 1994, at least for the States, because in 1992, the English Premier League... What the fuck? God. Sky Sports and Scorebug creator David Hill already had that ball rolling. Even more so than slow motion or a fancy little camera angle in the sky. I don't know how the f y'all did it mid-90s. I've rewatched The Last Dance probably 3 or 4 times, and my dumb is befuddled every time because they'll show broadcast footage from the Shrug game. And maybe I got little TikTok dumb brain, but having the game's key information not be constantly fed to me stresses me out. And like with everything in life, there's good and there's dog water. Oh, hell no! But even though that Scorebug looks like it was made in Microsoft Word, it's still arguably the most important piece of information on your TV screen. For example, if I take away the Scorebug in this Cavs-Blazers game between option A and option B, which DeAndre Hunter shot do you think ended up being the game-winning field goal? If you said B, Buster, I got some bad news for you. But not all is bad, because it's now the late 90s, baby. And while slow motion, the sky cam, and clearly Scorebugs made watching sports from home amazing, NFL fans had no idea that Stan the Man here was gonna change sports broadcasting forever. This dude was sailing his dad's boat at 6 years old, navigating the ocean at 16, has a master's degree from Stanford, co-founded Sports Vision, and oh yeah, invented the yellow first down line. What's crazier than the technology needed to pull off the first down line is the widely hated NHL glow puck is a huge reason the yellow line even exists. Because in 1996, while Stan was working with David Hill, the same Scorebug David Hill at Fox Sports, David was looking for a way to track and highlight the puck in real time. And Stan helped create the technology to do exactly that. Again, wasn't a fan favorite by any means, but without the glow puck or Fox losing its NHL contract in '98, I don't know when we would have seen something as impactful as Stan's next invention. Do you remember the theater reactions to No Way Home when it first came out? That's how living rooms across the nation reacted in 1998 when ESPN, without any prior announcement, slowly zoomed out during that opening kickoff to reveal a magical little yellow line draped across the field that looks like it was painted on the field. It's a good thing they did, because the technology needed to pull that off, especially back then, was crazy. For those first couple of years, it took a 50-foot truck full of computers loaded with 3D renders of every NFL field. Now, everything can be done with just one person and a handful of computers. But to the fans, the wizardry surrounding the yellow line in '98 and today remains the same. Sure, some viewers during its debut thought the cleaning crew would have to come and vacuum up the line after the game. What? But people today go to NFL games and are perplexed when there's no magical yellow line telling them how far a first down is. To be fair though, there is a piece of technology that is sweeping the sports world that I swear Big Double D had to have cooked up. You remember how it was just crickets whenever Hawk-Eye would show up on the screen during Endgame? Would you believe me if I told you there's a multiverse where instead Hawk-Eye and cricket is actually redefining how we watch live sports? What originated from
No, don't do it.
the UK
You better stop!
was actually created at first for cricket in 2001 by Paul Hawkins. But god
damn,
it's just taken over every sport for real. According to Hawk-Eye's website, their technology is being used in 23 out of the top 25 sports across the world. And deservingly so. The information Hawk-Eye provides, not only to the viewer, but also the officials across those 23 sports, has become practically necessary. The most popular example of this, and just Hawk-Eye in general, has to be FIFA and VAR. Video Assistant Referee, VAR, is used to intervene in quote-unquote 4 match-changing situations only: goals, penalties, red cards, and mistaken identity. And it covers all 4 of those bases nearly flawlessly. Similar to DPI in the NFL, blocker charge in the NBA, ball versus strike in the MLB, there's rules in every sport that are almost purely up to that specific referee's discretion. In football or soccer is no different. The offsides call has become super ticky-tack since VAR's involvement. I don't know if there's some wacky tobacco being passed around that VAR booth, because like this is being called offsides while Diaz here has enough room to park an F-150. And yet, this was a disallowed goal. But to be fair, those are extremely isolated examples. And overall, however you may feel about the negatives around Hawk-Eye, I think you're a D1 hater if you can't at least see how this technology makes a broadcast feel. Unfortunately, I don't watch tennis, but whenever I see a clip of them like zooming in from the sky to like the small cracks of the concrete, a lot of the stuff Hawk-Eye does feels like that Martin Scorsese meme. The tension that is felt when VAR is reviewing a goal is the same at Old Trafford as it is in your living room. But while countries outside of the US are very familiar with Hawk-Eye, as of late and in the near future, US sports fans will also be really feeling Hawk-Eye's influence. What inspired this video really was just how powerful Stan's impact was on how we consume live sports. And it just feels like such a full circle moment that just days ago, the NFL announced they're implementing
the Hawk-Eye system and uses cameras and sensors to track the trajectory and location of a tennis ball to see if it's in or out. Well, starting this season, the NFL will use similar technology to determine first downs.
Now, like this chapter suggests, and as crazy as it might sound, people, of course, are divided on this. For whatever reason, the same people that can't stand human error affecting games are the same ones tweaking out about adding technology that corrects human error. The most obvious example of this has to be the MLB and its fans. It's actually alarming, the amount of MLB fans that feel like bad calls add to the charm of the game. And baseball isn't the only culprit. I watch the NBA on a nightly basis. The amount of people I see about late game challenges and how long they take are also, again, the same ones that will hunt out the L2M as soon as that drops. And hating refs is so far from a new concept, but now we're walking this confusing line of hating the 65-year-old that's wrongly deciding outcomes of games. But on the other side, it's not wanting near perfect technology to help correct those calls. Like, Here's the thing. I think Goodell, Silver, Manfred are really smart in the fact they know the little spice of dog water refs creates drama, boosts rating, which inevitably produces revenue. Because baseball especially could be nearly entirely officiated by Hawk-Eye type technology, yet here we are in 2025. But I want to hear from you. How do you feel about robot umpires, VAR? Do you think there's a more influential technology for sports broadcasting than Stan's yellow line? Also, feel like I should mention, if there were ever to be a part 2 for one of my videos, probably would be this one, because I didn't even touch on all the weird SpongeBob and Simpsons altcasts, wearable tech like NFL jerseys or helmets, or even how braille and haptic feedback is allowing blind people to experience live sports. Like, the iceberg for this runs so deep, and my god, the support on the last video. What the hell? Oh my god. Insane. Comments like this one from Default Dude 4558, or this one from Goat Leangelo, and like multiple others. Dude, they all mean so much, you guys don't even know. Outside of that, that's gonna do it for today's video. If you're not subscribed, dude, I literally have a degree in casual takes. You're gonna wanna subscribe and hit that like button. But that's officially it for me today. I will see y'all in the next one.